2017, right? What was the reason that you decided to be here?
So, I had a great time at Baidu. And it's funny, people keep wondering when I moved from Google Brain to Coursera and then Baidu to running AI Fund and Deep Learning AI, people always wondered there's some secret thing, but what happened? So I feel like I was running the AI team at Baidu, great team, and I think the team did a wonderful job, building the mothership, right? So online advertising, improving web search, all the core businesses. And the team was doing a great job there. I remember looking at the org chart and then thinking, you know what? If I weren't here, we've got a really good team. They'll probably do just fine without me. And then I also realized that the most fun part of my job at the time was actually building new business units. We did a great job making money for the mothership, really proud of the work that the team did. Um, but I found that where I personally had the most fun was building new businesses. So for example, I ran Baidu's self-driving car team, still doing really well in China today. I ran Baidu's kind of a smart speaker team, like Alexa or Hey Siri or whatever China, still doing really well today. And I felt that while I could make money for the mothership, where I was actually really engaged was building new businesses. And then I asked myself, while doing it within the context of a big company was fine, I felt that maybe if I start something else, which turned out to be the Venture Studio AI Fund, to build businesses, more from 0 to 1 rather than the concept of a big company, maybe I could make that work even better. So that's why I stepped away from Baidu to start deeplearning.ai, because I want to continue to do a lot more work in education to empower people to build with AI. And then additionally, to run AI Fund, Venture Studio, where we build startups.
Do you think China is now ahead?
I think AI is multifaceted, and China is ahead of the US in some places, like open source, open weight models, and the US is ahead of China in some places, like proprietary models.
So you don't regret your choice?
I think I had a great time doing some work with teams in China. I'm having a great time doing work with Deep Learning AI, AI Fund, more recently AI Aspire, Landing AI. So I'm happy with I'm very happy with what I'm doing. No regrets.
From pure scale perspective, doesn't China have more energy?
China has a lot going for it. The US also has a lot going for it. I feel like uh, as imperfect as this union is, I love America and the Western world. And even though some years it feels like democracy works better and it works worse in some years, that feels like an important pillar of how we do things in America. And I think there's a lot of good work to be done still in America, and I'm excited.
What we can expect from your company?
I want to empower everyone to build with AI. We've been very focused on helping developers get access to the latest tools, continue to work hard on that. And in addition to really supporting AI developers, build their careers, grow their careers, I actually want to broaden what we do to empower developers and everyone else to build with AI. So that's Deep Learning AI's focus. And one of the reasons I stepped away from Baidu, actually I found both when I was leading a team at Google and at Baidu, there's certain businesses that make sense to build within Google, that make sense to build within Baidu. But there are other things like, tariff compliance. Why would an internet company care about that? So AI Fund builds lots of different startup businesses. And so I'm excited about just the diversity of stuff we get to work on at AI Fund. And then AI Aspire, which is a relatively new effort, is my friends Kirsty Tan and I are working on AI advisory for large enterprises. So it turns out that if we want to really move the needle on AI adoption, developers are important, individual consumers are important, and we just got to get large businesses there. So we're spending quite a bit of time in partnership with Bain and others. Bain is a fantastic team, really, really so smart. Privileged working with Christoph and his team over there. But to help advise large businesses on how to drive real value and how to really win with AI.
You've decided to be also, I think, AI communicator. What was the reason?
You're touching on the very core values kind of thing. I'll tell you how I prioritize what I do. I think there are two things that I prioritize most highly that I really believe in. I think it's a good use of my time. One is things that make humanity more powerful. That's why I became a researcher, became a professor at Stanford, because I think research, advancing the state of the art, that makes humanity more powerful by inventing new technologies. So I believe in making humanity more powerful. The second thing I deeply believe in is to help others realize their dreams. It's important that it's help others realize their dreams, not help others realize my dreams. That's an important distinction. And all through my life, I felt that if we can give others tools and skills, then it puts them in a better position to realize their dreams, which is why education, through deep learning AI, Coursera, has always been something I've found very motivating.
Is something that you regret when you look at your story? If you could, turn back time, would you do this and change something?
Well, there's so many things I have done differently. So frankly, um, I don't know. I've been fortunate to have made a few good decisions, but I've made so many bad ones as well. I think there's so many things I don't know, should I have hired that particular person or, done that particular project, or should I have worked harder on that project rather than giving up? I think, yeah.
If you could find answer for one question about the reality, what it would be?
I wish I understood what is the nature of intelligence.
You mean consciousness? How matter is transformed into consciousness inside the human brain, or something more?
Actually, not consciousness. I think consciousness is an important philosophical question, but I don't know what is consciousness. So philosophers talk about consciousness in the sense that is this notion of being self-aware, but it turns out that you don't actually know if I'm conscious, and I don't actually know if you are, right? How do you know if, in philosophy, there's this concept that maybe I'm just a zombie and I'm not actually conscious, but I'm just moving my hands, moving my mouth, and pretending to be conscious. So because you don't have access to my inner experience and vice versa, we don't actually know if anyone else is conscious. But I think out of politeness, we pretend everyone else is conscious as much as we think we are. So because consciousness is not measurable, to me, that makes it a philosophical rather than a scientific question. And while philosophy is important, I gravitate more to the scientific questions. And to me, the nature of intelligence is what on earth are the mechanisms that allow the human brain, or maybe other biological brains, to demonstrate this huge range of intelligent behaviors that we see? Like, how on earth does this work? By the way, something that is not widely known, before starting the Google Brain team, one thing I did was hang out a lot with my neuroscientist friends. And I was reading huge piles of neuroscience papers and concluded, lots of respect to my neuroscience friends, but neuroscience has no idea how the brain works, like, frankly, pretty much. So I gave up on neuroscience as a path to building intelligence. But understanding how does intelligence actually work, what is the nature of intelligence, I'm pretty sure it's not a transformer network with scaling laws. I'm pretty sure it needs more than that. But I wish
What is the nature of reasoning also?
Yeah, yeah. I think reasoning is a subset of intelligence, but understanding how reasoning actually works would also be fascinating.
Why in the Western world are we so unhappy?
I really disagree with his characterization of the Western world as lost for these reasons. I don't look for happiness in the water I drink, but I drink water that keeps me healthier. I think it would be a mistake to look for happiness in AI, but AI really helps people. It helps us with health, helps us build things, helps give us skills. And so AI is important, but there's a mistake to look for happiness in AI in the same way that it would be a mistake to look for happiness um, uh, I think happiness comes much more from within than from the artifacts that we build. But it is that process of striving to help others. I hope a lot of people can find happiness in that. And I hope I can help others through my work in AI. And I find a lot of joy in being able to do work that could be useful to others.
Thank you very much for your time.